there are two last remaining areas I wanted to cover, but I'm going to bring these in because one of the big talking points that is dominating still the conversation, but we're now starting to see actual effective movement is around the sustainability conversation. And I feel that's growing traction again now that we're seeing, and for our industry, I've been concerned. I'm concerned at how we will meet regulation. And so we need to have and there's some great tools that we can have. But when you have an industry where inherently you are sending people out, and remote service is going to do a lot to fix a lot of this. But when you're inherently sending people out into the field, you're going to be having a larger CO2 footprint than most organizations. So that's going to be a challenge for a lot of field service organizations. So any way we can demonstrate how we're improving our efforts to be more sustainable organizations, I think is important thing. So that's one of the big kind of meta trends that I'm talking about at the moment. I'd love to get your thoughts on that, but I'd also love to know if there's any other kind of forward-looking trends that you see shaping the future of how we're utilizing devices like yours within the field service environment.
Yeah, so I think some of this goes back to the beginning of our conversation, right? When we were talking about how not one size fits all, right? Having different form factors really, really helps for an IT manager to narrow in on what makes the most sense for their people, right? Having 8-inch devices, 11.6-inch devices, some that are a little bit heavier, some that are a little bit lighter and smaller and thinner, and may make sense. And then notebooks that have different kinds of form factors as well, right? More thin and light versus the real heavy duty kind of a notebook form factor, right? So I think when it comes to what is new and what is coming, right? Some of these things we haven't even thought of yet, right? Like use cases for some of these devices. A couple of things that I think are going to be really big, right? I think we talked about during our conversation, the use of AI in some of these applications. I think we're going to see more and more of that. I think we're still in the very beginning of that. But I think that connectivity is also a big deal, right? All of our devices have the ability to have cellular broadband integrated into the devices. I know in Europe, 5G is really taken off. In the US, it's a little bit slower to be adopted. But it's not just that. It's also things like private cellular networks. And I don't know if you've had any conversations about that before, but that's going to be big. It's coming because any end user who's got a very large campus, it makes sense to go to a private network. We in the U.S. it's band 48. It's the CBRS kind of private cellular network, and I see that being a big deal. And all of our devices will support that today. That have integrated LTE, but I think that as we have more applications that can take advantage of AI, whether it's being done on the device itself or it's being done in the cloud, right? You need a connection.
Yeah.
And so I see that continuing to be a trend.